What's up, everybody? It's Ferris here, and I wanted to come to you really quickly on this day because I just got finished watching a BET documentary called Young, Gifted, and Broke. And if you haven't seen it, check out the link below. It's hosted by Angela Rye, and it talks about the student loan crisis that we have here in America and how it's impacting a lot of young Americans that are going off to college and amassing these huge student loans. A lot of them are private, unsubsidized loans that are hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands. And this is kind of prohibiting a lot of individuals from jumpstarting their life, whether it be finding that career or getting that job or starting a family or buying a house or whatever. One particular person that I actually remember seeing on there, I can't remember her name, but it was a graduate of a school. She's a nurse today, and she was telling about the student loan. Her student loan was over $100-something thousand. I think it was like $170,000, and she's in her early or late 20s, late 20s, early 30s. And she said that she will not be finished paying for her student loans until she's in her 60s. And she's working 2 full-time jobs as a registered nurse. And marriage was dissolved or ended up in a divorce just because of the debt that was actually taking a toll on their marriage. And this is something that's actually impacting families and generations. And I wanted to go through and make this video because the root of student loans, yes, we're a lot of times we're looking for big government to go through and bail us out, to go through and come up with a solution so that we can go through and attain an affordable education, which I do believe education should be affordable. But I believe also it's on our behalf as a community that we go through and expose our children, expose our next generation on the things that on things so they can make an informed decision on if college is something that they would like to go through and pursue, or if a technical school, or if it's just a career path is something that they would like to go through. I'm gonna put a comma right there. I believe in education. I believe in continuous education. I believe that education should not end at high school or should not end at college or at the graduate level. I think education should continue, whether it's formal, meaning college, or informal, meaning course, meaning exposure. There's plenty of different forms of education. So I don't want anyone to think that what Ferris is totally against education. I'm just not for college for everyone. And so let's talk about this right here, the student loan crisis. Again, I believe there's 3 things. I think personally, there's 3 things that we can do to prevent our kids, our students from getting into that major student loan. And I think one thing that we can do is expose them early. And what I mean about that? I mean expose them early. If you know that your child has an inclination or is gravitating towards healthcare, get them in an environment where they can go through and actually start to go through and get around individuals that are in that career field, so they can start asking those questions, and so they can go start getting exposed to that career to see if that's something that they would like to do. Or let's say if your child was actually interested in finance, and getting them around a CPA or getting them around an accounting firm so that they can go through and see exactly if this is something that they're truly interested in, so that now when they're in school, they'll have something they're looking forward to. So now they know that when they're taking that math class, those science classes, that, hey, I'm taking this with the intent of actually pursuing my next level education, which would be this. And because I believe that early on exposure is going to go through and shape them and give them like a vision or something to look towards, so that they know that, okay, well, hey, I'm just not going to school. I'm not staying out of trouble. I'm not doing all this just for no. I'm doing this because I have a purpose, because I know where I'm going. And I believe that exposure will take me to my step 2, is because they've been properly exposed at an early age. Now, when they enter college, if they have to get a student loan, and I'm talking about the step 3, if they have to get a student loan, if they have to go through and find funding, meaning first, before we get student loans, first find scholarships, plenty of different scholarships out there. Or let's say if they have to get a student loan, now, instead of doing like I did, was jumping from major to major to major, which actually just ballooned my student loans, because I started off in telecommunications, then went to accounting, then went to business, then went to criminal justice, then went back to accounting, then went back to it was just a lot of classes, a lot of unnecessary classes that I was taking. And those classes were not free. And some of them I failed because I wasn't focused enough, meaning I wasn't exposed early enough to go through and realize that this is what I wanted to do in life. So my thing is, if we expose individuals and they get the vision in front of them, and as parents, we continue to go through and encourage them. And so I believe now when they go to college, they could go through and find an affordable college, An affordable college does not mean that private school, affordable college, maybe starting off at a technical school or community college, if for some reason scholarships or finances are not there. And then working from the community college onto that 4-year college to go through and get that degree that they want, because they already know what their career path is, because they already know that they want to be that nurse, that physician, that technician, or whatever that those individuals would like to be. And so financing the school, going through and just financing it. And I believe when you finance school, you should have, it should not be no, okay, if, no, you know what you're going for. You're going to go and get that. And once you get that, you start that career path because it already been ingrained in you because you've been exposed at an early age. The next thing I want to talk about is definitely talking about the funding for school. I realize there so many times parents put their names on the line for the children because that's what parents will do. I believe that funding for school should definitely, I don't believe school should be as expensive as it is, but be it as it is right now, I believe that there are many different options of financing school. Just like I said, starting off at a technical school, starting off at a community college, something that's affordable. Just because your friend's children went to that private school, or just because they went to this school or university that may cost $6,000, $7,000, $10,000, $20,000 a year. And let's say if your finances are not set up like that, just because you start somewhere does not mean you end. You can't have the same ending of which other individuals have, if not better, because you actually planned it out. So instead of taking on the $20,000 student loan, you went to a community college, paid for it out of pocket. You worked. You worked part-time to go through and pay for that. You grind it out. Now you have value of it because you know that your sweat, tears, and everything went into it. You grind it out. Now when you're graduating from college, you're not graduating with all these student loans. You're not taking out student loans in excess like we used to do back in the day. This excess money, meaning, okay, school only costs $2,000, but we're taking out $5,000 so we can get a refund check. You're not getting those refund checks. You're not doing those things. You're not getting all that credit card debt so that when you start off in life, you're starting off behind the 8 ball. You're starting off because you started off as a child, because the parents started them off as a child with exposure. Then they went through and planned everything out, and they planned the financing out to the point to when that child graduates from college, they're graduating with a clear conscience, not all this debt that they have to go through and think about, but with a clear conscience so they can focus on that passion that they have, so they can go through and make the mistakes that they need to make as young adults, so they can go through and do the same thing that they did, that their parents did for the next generation as well. So I want you guys to go through and actually check out this video. Again, it's Young, Gifted, and Broke. And Young, Gifted, and Broke, yes, it parallels, kind of looks for solutions on how the government can go through and help us out with the student loan crisis, which again, I do agree that school should not be as expensive as it is. But be it as it may, I think it's our responsibility to go through and actually set our children up for that next level. And how we do that is through exposure, through planning out, and through actually just communication, just like this. All right, if you think this video has been of value, give me a thumbs up. Tag someone to share it as well, but also go through and check out the video below, Young, Gifted, and Broke on YouTube. All right, let me know what you think about it. All right, I look forward to hearing from you soon. This is Ferris.